What's up, family? If this is your first time checking out the show, this is the way we do it. You let me know what city, what state you're coming in from. If you're outside of the US, let me know what country you're representing. I'll give some shout outs and then I'm going in. Let me know what city, what state you're coming in from. My international audience was on fire the other day. Y'all came in by the boatloads. Love it when we get that participation. Yeah, I had something to do, but a couple things came up and I definitely gotta converse with y'all on these two. One, first and foremost, James Brown, the legendary godfather of soul, James Brown murder, well, death is being investigated as a murder. They are looking into a connection, a possible connection of someone having actually murdered James Brown. And this all came about when this young woman presented some evidence to the DA in Atlanta. So this is going to be very, 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 very interesting, how this plays out. If y'all give me just a few more seconds, I can get into the story. Again, let me know what city, what state you're coming in from. If you're outside of the US, let me know what country you're representing. If you want to skip the line, you can jump into the super chat. Let's see. So here's the story on James Brown. It says that this is according to TMZ. They're saying that James Brown may have been murdered, claims a woman who knew him and handed a prosecutor a stack of what she believes is possible evidence of foul play. She actually went into the Fulton County DA's office and handed over a whole bin of what she considers to be evidence of text messages and things of that nature. They said that they are going to look at the evidence and they're going to interview the woman, and they're going to further interview her rather. And if those claims hold to be true, then they're going to not reopen, but they are going to open an investigation, a full-blown investigation into his death, and which will probably be a large-scale investigation. We're told that this woman's name is Jackie Hollander, and the district attorney who's handling this is Paul Howard. Now, James Brown died back in 2006. We're told that she unsuccessfully tried to present the evidence to the DA back in 2019. But for whatever reason, they didn't take her seriously enough. And so she also reportedly explained how she came into the possession of this bin of evidence. Again, James Brown died on Christmas Day of 2006 in an Atlanta hospital. His death certificate cites a heart attack and fluid in his lungs as the cause of death. This is what's very interesting to me, is that they didn't obviously do an autopsy, right? Because it appears that the doctor or the coroner just took the word of the doctors and said, okay, he died of a heart attack, case closed. This is James Brown, the godfather of soul. So there was many questions surrounding his death from the jump anyway. During a 2017 interview with CNN, Dr. Marvin Crawford, who signed James Brown's death certificate, said he had always wondered what exactly triggered the heart attack and whether the sudden death was triggered by an overdose, accidental or otherwise. As you know, James Brown had a long history of using drugs. And so when they say that he had died of a heart attack, people just kind of assume that, well, maybe the drugs finally did what it's supposed to do, and that is disrupt your bodily organs and kill you eventually and send you to an early death. So they're thinking that, people are thinking like, well, maybe that's happened. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe his heart couldn't take anymore and he died. But this woman, Jackie Hollander, is claiming foul play. So, and that is the extent of what the DA is sharing right now with everybody. I personally always felt like it was, I'm always thinking anytime a celebrity dies or whatever, I'm always like looking, and I'm always really suspicious anyway, because a lot of celebrities, especially when you get on James Brown level, they have a lot of power and influence. And so it's not inconceivable that someone would conspire to murder them for whatever reason, whether it be for their riches, perhaps they have some intellectual property that somebody wants to get a hold to. And if they're no longer in the picture, maybe it's easier to obtain that intellectual property. Perhaps they know something that somebody don't want them to know. They have a secret that somebody wants buried. Celebrities are oftentimes privy to a lot of confidential information, sensitive confidential information, being that they can move in different rooms, different political rooms, and in places where people have a lot of power and a lot of decisions are being made. I mean, celebrities have they get to have a lot of access. That is one of the perks of being a celebrity. You get access. And so who knows? But I am very, very interested to know, how this thing turns out. I think that if the woman brought the evidence and she says that, even if she didn't have evidence, but apparently she thinks she has evidence. But even if she didn't have evidence, if somebody comes and says, I think he was murdered and you should look this way, or look into this, or contact this person, I think that every person's death deserves to be investigated if there's a question, especially if there's a question. I think death alone should have some type of investigation, no matter what. Every single death, no matter what, some type of investigation, no matter what. But if someone comes forward claiming to have evidence of somebody being murdered, then absolutely that person's death should be investigated. I don't think it should just because a person was a drug user that their death should be looked at as less, right? Because some people do that. Oh, he was homeless. Oh, he was a drug addict. Oh, he was a nobody. So nobody cares. No, I think every single person's death should be investigated to some degree. So let me jump over here in the chat and see what y'all talking about. We got in the super chat first. Raymond J. What's up, Raymond? Appreciate you. I see Next Level in the building. They always investigate our deaths and find out we're innocent long years after the fact. Okay. Akeem Muhammad. Greetings, brother. What's up? What's up? New York. New York in the building. Verinder Rosado. Welcome to the club. Y'all welcome our new Willie D Live channel member, Veranda Rosado. All right, let's see what we got here, y'all. Sharon says, this is sad. Loved James Brown. R.I.P. Mr. Brown. Still continue to listen to you. Listen, if you listen to Ghetto Boys, we got you'll hear some James Brown samples in several of our songs, especially the first album that we did together, that me, Brad, and Bill did together. That album, Grip It on That Other Level. And the remake of that album, Ghetto Boys, the Rick Rubin version. You're gonna hear a lot of James Brown influence in our music, because that dude was funky, man. And he produced a lot of his own music. I didn't find out that till later. Like when we had to start, paying for those samples. I was like, oh, damn, James Brown, damn, he did this, he did this. So he wasn't just a singer, he was a writer. Heather Bryant, welcome to Level 1. Salute, appreciate you. It's another member just jumped in. On board, welcome to Willie D Live. Conscious Energy, what? Yep. Now, family, I told y'all before I started the broadcast that there's a couple of major stories going on right now, and I wanted to make sure that I covered these before I do anything else tonight. Number one, I wanted to definitely pay homage to James Brown. As soon as I heard that he had his death was being investigated, I was like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna fit this into my schedule, but I'm going to do a broadcast. I'm going live on this tonight at some point. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I moved some things around and I'm getting it done. Paying homage to the godfather of soul, James Brown, for all that he has done, for all that he has contributed to music, society, even society. When you start thinking about his social awareness, and think about that music. That music was said loud. I'm blacking up. Like he was very, very in tune to what was going on around him, and it reflected in his music. And that ain't easy to do. I'm gonna tell y'all, that is not. It's not easy to make music that's provocative and sometimes offend. That's not easy to do, especially in a country where you are being oppressed. You're basically putting your life in danger because there are people out there that will try to kill you, and the people that's supposed to be protecting you that looks like them will probably sweep it under the rug or pay little or no attention to it. So it takes a certain level of bravery to make that type of music. Not just bravery, but it also takes a certain amount of humanity to care enough to make that type of music for the people. Because it's easy to make music, mindless music, and you're not putting yourself on the line. That's easy to do. And you can have an easy, nice, quiet life and just party and bullshit your way all the way through life, and no big deal. You ain't changing nobody's lives or nothing like that. You just making party music, and that's cool because all genres of music has its place. But for me, I figure like if you got a whole hour to make music, or you got a whole hour of undivided attention from a listener, then I believe it's incumbent upon an artist to say something. Say something. There's so much going on out there. People are having a tough time out there. You know, everything ain't all fun and games, and it ain't all about laughter all the time. Sometimes you got to get serious. Everything ain't funny. So sometimes you got to get serious, and people are going through stuff. You got people that's going through divorces, death, romantic breakups. They're having issues with their children. People are on drugs. You got people that don't have a roof over their head. People are unemployed or homeless, trying to figure out what they're going to eat tonight. People going through it, man. So my thing was like, if I'm gonna make music, I want to make music that resonates with people and that people can really relate to, and I can touch somebody. I want to make that kind of music. So I had to figure out a way to do that, and at the same time, make that conscious music, but at the same time, remember that this is entertainment also. So make sure that it's entertaining, but keep the integrity of the song. Always maintain the integrity of the song. That's first and foremost. Getting back to what you guys are saying, James Brown knew the business. He owned his own music. Yes, yep. Yeah. Wasn't for James Brown, you wouldn't have a Michael Jackson, you wouldn't have a Prince, you wouldn't have a Rick James. All that's true. You wouldn't have a Willie D. All of that's true. Because it's always somebody who came before you, right? I don't know who that was for James Brown, but it's always somebody, and you just basically get inspired, and then you do your best version of that person who inspired you, and then at some point you grow into your own self, you grow into your own image, and then people start looking at you, and then they start mimicking what you're doing. So yeah, James Brown murder investigation, top news. The second thing that I'm going to talk about in a total different broadcast, I'm gonna go live with that at I'll go live with that one at 9:30 Central Time. I'm going live at 9:30 Central Time, and we are going to talk about this Charles Barkley dude. I knew it was not going to be long before Mr. Jigaboo, the #1 We Seek Boss agent in all the television, come out. I knew it wouldn't be long before he came out and said something disrespectful toward Kobe Bryant. But this fool said that Kobe Bryant was not a hero, and the whole sexual allegation thing is fair to talk about that, and all. He just said something that was totally unnecessary. He did not have to go there. He did not have to say any of that, but he said it anyway because that's the type of person he is. His handlers, Massa, wanted him to say that, because that's the way Massa is. So Massa wanted him to put that out there, and sure enough, just like that good old boy Charles Barkley is, that we seek boss, step and fetch it coon that he is, he ran with it. So there you go. So we'll talk about him at 9:30. I'm gonna shut this broadcast down about, we'll see how everything goes, but I'll shut this down in time to start the broadcast for Kobe Bryant at 9:30 Central Time on the dot. It will start promptly, 9:30. So make sure when you leave this broadcast that you make sure you come back and you check out the live on Charles Barkley, because I'm gonna go in on this sucker. James Brown was Bob Marley's favorite. Right on. So I'll come back to these, you know, like save your Charles Barkley comments for the broadcast at 9:30 Central. So we're talking about 35 minutes from now. Save your Charles Barkley comments for that, because you know we gonna get all the way live on that one. Right here we just want to pay homage to James Brown. I want to share some pictures with y'all on the internet. I never seen these pictures. Primarily because I'm just not interested in pictures, seeing people in caskets, but I've never seen these pictures before. And I want to, you know, if y'all care to see these pictures, I'm about to share my screen with y'all so y'all can see them. If you don't want to see them, if you think it's too morbid, it's just something that you don't want to see, then you might want to walk out of the room for a minute and then, you know, come back in a few minutes. But I want to share some of these pictures of James Brown. It's not just the ones of him in the casket, but it's some other pictures too. But let's start with the casket picture. And this is, James Brown had his funeral at the Apollo in New York, in Harlem. Showtime at the Apollo. Let's see, share. Okay, so, well, that's a bad casket right there. I think it looks like a gold casket. This is a picture I never seen either. Check this out. As James Brown and Al Sharpton in front of, I believe that's, I think that's in front of his house. Some interesting pictures. This is a close-up of James Brown. It looks like he's asleep. Yeah. Let's see, what else we got? Godfather Soul, James Brown. And this is the crowd at the Apollo outside for his funeral. Well, look at those streets. Look at them paying homage to a legend. If you can see right here, he's being transported in a carriage, 2 white horses. I'll see if I can get a larger picture of that carriage. This is him being prepared. Look at that casket. That is a bad casket. Oh, that's a bad casket there. So he's being prepared by the looks like the one of the mortuary workers. Never seen this picture. That's Puffy and James Brown. Won't click on it. Won't click. What's up? What's up with that? There it is. Here it is. Here's James Brown being transported in the carriage. And laid to rest like a true king. Like a king. Rest in peace, Apollo legend, the godfather of soul, James Brown, 1933 to 2006. What is that? 67. Man, what am I tripping? 67, 73. Okay. 73 years. Gave it a good run. He gave it a good run. Godfather of Soul. All right, family. Let's get back. Let me get back over here in the chat and see what y'all saying. Y'all welcome a new member, Willie D Live new member, Erica McNeil. Show us some love. Yeah, I just thought about something, boy. I'm surprised they haven't tried to drag James Brown. Because James Brown don't have one or two stories, 3 or 4 scandals. James Brown has a plethora of scandals. You can't even box him in. But if they tried to drag James Brown, oh, they'll definitely get their hat brought to him. I see you, Mimi D in London. What's up, Dan Guy? Little Rock, Arkansas. Oh, I didn't know. James is saying you didn't mention the body was never buried. I didn't know his body wasn't buried. Let me look into that. James Brown. I know his body went on a tour. I know they had like, I don't know, like 3 or 4, 5 or 6 memorial services. Okay, so the chauffeur said in 2014, James Brown's chauffeur said he still hasn't been buried. That was 2014. 4 days ago, let's see. Man, I had a report on this 4 days ago. James Brown still hasn't been buried, claims his former chauffeur. Oh, so he's saying he still hasn't been buried. Okay, let's read this together. James Brown's body has never been buried, according to his former chauffeur. Speaking to The Guardian, William Murrow claimed that despite dying in 2016, the iconic singer had instead been mummified, so his body would never decompose. He's been dead since 2006, but he still hasn't been buried. He's been at his daughter's house, said Murrow. They mummified his body so he would never rot at $140,000 cost. Why? When you got almost 20 kids and 6 wives, it's hard to get you in the ground. Wait a minute. What website is this? Let me make sure this is not a satire website. I mean, a satire website. Have y'all ever heard of NME? Let's see. Well, that was November 2014, actually. Married 3 times, actually fathered 9 legitimate children, died of congestive heart failure and pneumonia. In 2010, his reported love child, LaRonda Pettit, claimed that his body had been stolen from a crypt in order to prevent an autopsy being carried out. However, both the funeral director and another of Brown's children, Deanna Brown Thomas, subsequently denied her allegations. Murrow also told a story about how he drove another passenger, singer Michael Jackson, to Brown's funeral. He described Jackson as a pretty cool good guy, although he noted that to see him in real life was really scary. His skin color was white and his hands were white. According to Murrow, Jackson spent an hour with the body as he wanted to spend some time with his idol and also put a little curl in his hair, like Jackson's own. A James Brown biopic titled Get On Up and co-produced by Rolling Stones frontman Mick Jagger is set to be released in the UK later this month, November 21. The film stars Chadwick Boseman, who is best known for playing baseball legend Jackie Robinson. Okay, all right, that's enough. It looks like a pretty legit article because those satire websites, they go way off the edge with stuff. So that's what's up. US to UK, peace and love. Divine Destiny 305. Miss Christie, no, not sure what website that is. Thank you for that. Edward Wright, Michael Jackson, Prince, James Brown shared a stage together to perform. Classic on YouTube, look it up. Oh yeah, I remember that. Mike and Prince, I think, who came up first? I think he called Mike up first and then Prince came up and they were all cutting little moves. And I think, was it Prince that did, what kind of move did Prince do? I think he played the guitar a little bit, but anyway, it was a magical moment. If y'all have never seen them all on stage together, that was beautiful. Okay, Kimya says that his body was placed in a crypt at the Beach Island home of one of his daughters, March 10th. Okay, somebody said he's gone, we can't bring him back. No, we can't. He's absolutely gone. We cannot bring him back. But if he was indeed murdered, we can pursue justice. I think one of the greatest travesties in life is justice undenied. I mean, justice denied. Justice denied, I think, is one of the greatest travesties of life. I see you, Sheila from New York. Johnny Flores, H-Town, Fifth Town. I see you, Fifth Ward. So if you're just joining the broadcast, we was talking about James Brown, whose death is being investigated by prosecutors in Atlanta, by the prosecutor in Atlanta. A woman came forward first in 2019, claiming that she had evidence, but for whatever reason, they did not interview her. This time around, they accepted her evidence. They're looking into it and they're saying that if they find it to be credible, they are going to interview the woman thoroughly and launch a full-scale investigation into the death of James Brown, the godfather of soul. Joseph Hudson III, I see you, checking in from Germany. Steve Swanson. What's up, Steve? Yeah, I'll give a shout out to Steve, one of the Willie D Live membership holders over there. Yeah, this is about to be something here, man. Who killed James Brown? Louisiana Gumbo 51. Welcome to the show. What's up, Nicole? Nicole Comer in the building. Yeah, this is crazy right here, man. James Brown. Man, if this is true, this is going to be it's going to be a hell of a story if it's true. Even just the idea of, somebody claiming that he was murdered and it being investigated is intriguing. I mean, James Brown was as iconic as they come. I mean, he made his mark. That is a man who will never be forgotten. His legacy will live forever. You can't even talk about music without talking about James Brown. He's probably the most sampled artist of all time. I would, if I had to take a wild guess and somebody asked me who's the most sampled artist of all time, I would probably say James Brown. Because I know me and all of my contemporary artists, all of my contemporaries, we sampled James Brown. And I know people are still sampling James Brown to this day. So there it is, family. I'm gonna give a few more shout outs. Hit my people up in the super chat. Verinda Rosado. Again, I appreciate, I think I may have said Veranda the first time, but Verinda, I'll see you. I got it right that time. Next Level, Raymond J, Akeem Muhammad, Jason Hanna, Heather Bryant, Erica McNeil. Yeah. I see Puerto Rico in the building. Jazz from Norway. Spain checking in. Seville from Spain. All right, family, so I'm about to shut it down and get ready for this Charles Barkley broadcast. If you are just now tuning in, Charles Barkley opened his fat mouth to disparage Kobe Bryant. You know, he had to say something. He just couldn't keep that fat mouth shut. He had to open his mouth and try to, take a couple of jabs at Kobe. So get ready for that coming up. I'm shutting it down, but I'll be right back in about 15 minutes, family. Get your popcorn. You dig what I'm saying? No more talk.